Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. We're going to paint a floral rooster on a black canvas. So just make sure you get your canvas painted black and then let it dry. And then we're going to just use an assortment of maybe like a couple of the small square brush and then like some round brushes. Maybe you have a medium, large, and small round brush, or whatever works well for you is totally fine. So maybe just a couple rounds and then let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is just map out the shape, and you can use your small round brush to do this, or one of the smaller-ish size ones. And I'm just going to do it with white first. You can do it with any light color that you'd like though. If you want to do it a different color, you can. And then we're going to find the middle. So go ahead and find the middle. Top and bottom, right and left, make a dot. And then the rooster is their head's gonna be kind of coming on we're gonna go head up here, and then the feet are gonna come on the other side. So what you can do is just make a little dotted line coming down. And you wanna be about a quarter of the way over on both sides so that we have some balance. So we're gonna put feet here. What I can do from this space is just make little brush strokes like this. So see, I just made some little featherish brush strokes. This is going to be really simple. We're not making it too crazy. And then up here, I'm going to do pulling down. So I want to make a arch, almost like a hook. And it's going to come like that. And then I'm going to do that again. But it's going to get a little bit wider as I come down here like that. And you can always adjust this shape. Doing like a chicken, floral chicken. Notice I can fill it in with that same brush stroke. And then maybe I have some more coming down here. You want to kind of pull, and we can add more layers for different colors, but see how it's going to come all the way down to where I painted the legs or the bottom part of the shape. We want to make sure that we're coming down here like this. And then we're going to go up the back like here, like this. I can just make little vertical taps going up all the way towards the upper right hand corner. And then notice how I'm going to make a little loose outline like right here to where this is going to be part of the tail coming up. And then right in here, I'm going to make a little beak shape. So right at the tip of this white part, I'm going to go in and make a triangle. It just curves into this space, and then you can color that in. Okay, so now we have a pretty good little blueprint of what's happening here. Let me take this down a little further. So you can always change things, make things bigger or smaller, and it'll come together. Now what I want to do next is use my pink colors and my reds. So I'm going to add a bunch of red to my brush. Maybe I just have a tiny bit of white. And then we're going to come in here and add, should have a little bit of white mixed in though, make sure it's not just a little. And then I'm going to add the lines to the top right here coming up. Top of this space. So get in there. They're little, like tiny little vertical brush strokes. We just want to create the top of the head, and then we're going to put on the bottom right here, little beard. Filling in the chin space. And then we can make some flowers. inside the bird like this. So I'm just going to make a circle with that pink color. And then maybe I use some that has more white. So you can see how I can kind of paint over that a little bit. Make a really light shade of pink. And then I can use some yellow mixed in to make some orange. You can add more white to make it look more pastel. And just change your shades. Do a few different ones and overlap. We just want them all clustered in here. So you should just see a bunch of circles, different shades using red, yellow, and white. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is use blue and white. So we're going to do some light blue. Maybe I put this like here on the chest a little bit to create some different shades. Maybe up here on the neck, maybe on the tail. And maybe we come down here into the feet area. This is really abstract here. And then I want to create some green, so I can add yellow to that. And you can brush it on top of the blue in some spots maybe. And I can go in the back of the tail and do, maybe this is like a floral or a leaf, you know, pattern, which is fun. And I can add more blue to make a darker shade. You really let it like flail out a bit. Super fun. And you can have some of that coming out of the back or inside in between the flowers to make it look like, oh, there's maybe some leaves intermixed in here and kind of come out the top. All right. Now I'm going to do some orange colors again. So we're just going to dance back and forth between our colors. I'm going to do red and yellow. And then I'm going to put it on the beak, right where we painted it white. And then you can add some of that darker shade of orange into some of your flowers. Just maybe into some of the ones that look more orange to begin with. And then you can make your little feet. So if you add some white to the orange, it'll make it a little more opaque. And we can make some chicken feet. Let's do that. I'm gonna pull them right out of here. Two little lines coming like this way. I'm gonna go in and sort of put them in. Add more white to make them stand out a little more. That needs to happen. And then you can always blow dry it. So we want to layer, we want this to be kind of dry. So I recommend blow drying it a little bit. So now that it's a little bit dry, keep in mind that you can use different brushes, smaller brushes, whatever you want to begin the layering process, which is what we're going to do now. So we want to go in here and add some darker shades to the flowers. So I'm going to use like heavy on the red with maybe just a touch of white. You can have a little bit of yellow in there too, but you mainly just want it to be like pretty reddish. And then you're going to go into your pinkish looking flowers and add some of that darker red, especially towards the bottom, and try to keep it in a spiral motion. So you're going to the flower and you're making a U or a half circle at the bottom and then spiral it into the middle, making your brush strokes smaller as you get towards the center. So you go like underline your circle and then make more little partial circles inside the circle. As you get into some of your more orangey colored ones, you can add a little more yellow into your paint to keep with that orangey flavor. And we did this just a little bit while the paint was kind of wet, and you can work with it while it's wet or dry. And maybe I want something that looks more yellow toned. So use more yellow and white in your mix for those. Maybe choose a few that you want to look more yellow. So I'm gonna go and choose these few to look more yellowish. This one too. Just play. It's so fun. I'm gonna add some more just almost like pure yellow throughout the shape of those ones that you want to look more yellow. And then you can clean the brush and you can just use like light pink, just red and white, but really light, like more white mixed in, and go towards the top of some of those pink or red colored ones with this. And you can even use some pure white. So I can go in with the pure white or almost pure white and then just do a little bit towards the top. But you want to see at least 3 shades, like some dark, some medium, some light. And then you can go in and use the mostly red again to add some more layers to the chicken's beard and the head part. So however many times you got to do that to get it looking the way you want. You can do more layers of the orange. You want to have the orange on the beak look a little darker on the underside using more red, and then look a little bit brighter on the top side using more yellow. So you should see a few shades on the beak itself. So it shouldn't just be one shade of orange. And then you're going to clean your brush. We can do some purple here. So let's add blue and red together. Should come with like a dark purple, and I'm going to put some centers in my flowers. I'm just going to do the reddish ones with this center. We'll do maybe this one too. And then I'm going to do a blue center where it's more blue-ish. You could still have a little bit of red, but it's going to be more blue toned. Maybe a little bit of white. So it's like a little bit of red, but it's heavier on the blue. So we're just adding more blue to the purple and a little bit of white. And then that's going to go inside the yellow ones or the orangey ones. And then you can take some pure white and you can add that to the head. You can reshape things a little bit. Go over some of the colors. So see, I can go down here and go over some of these colors. Whatever you got to do to kind of just play with it. And I can put some inside here. You can go in with some light blue, blue and white, and add more of that. So going back and forth a little bit between your colors on this is going to be fun. And then you can even have like some little accent marks kind of coming out into the sky over here if you want to free up some of that dead space. So sometimes it's fun to just have like a little loose pattern like that kind of thing, or like a little twirl just kind of coming into this space as a space filler because it's so much black right there. So it's just an idea. You don't have to. You can leave it more empty space, or you can add in like a fun little twirly, just like think of it as a little pattern floating. You can have that kind of floating over here too. Just think of a spiral with some dots. So maybe make some dots. And I'm just choosing the light blue because it's kind of soft and kind of helps balance out all the pinks and stuff that are in here. We can kind of come off the tail like and do some of that over here because I have it so coming off the canvas over here that it's kind of fun to pull some of that idea over here. I don't know. It's just a thought. All right, so I'm cleaning the brush and I want to go in and add like a little dot for the eye. I'm gonna give him an eye, otherwise it looks weird. You're just gonna put it right here. The tip of the head with black. And then again, I can come back with more white. Add some more brush strokes where you need it. More highlights towards the tops of the flowers that are in there. I don't know, this one's so funky and decorative that maybe you add a little bit of white into your light blue over here. Some little dots. I don't know, just kind of add to that. This is where you get wild. Put little dots inside the shape. Maybe I just want some little dots in here. So I'm just using the white. I'm going to put some dots inside the dark part of the flowers, maybe like 3 or each. Or you can just do one. And I can have some of that kind of feathering out of the chest into the sky. You can put a little more fur feathers around their legs. And then another fun thing about black canvas is that, for example, if I don't like something that's in here, I could take the black on just take a clean brush. And maybe I don't want like something, or maybe I just want to clean up this foot because it got kind of big. So I can make this a little smaller by painting around the shape with the black. So maybe I want to break up some of this right here. I can paint some black. In there. You just kind of reverse painting, and it can be really helpful sometimes to clean up something that looks cluttered. So don't hesitate to do that. It's totally okay to do that. I don't actually like the swirls that I put up here, so in the corner, so I'm going to paint over that. But I'll leave the dots. I kind of like the dots. I'm going to leave the little spiral down here in the lower left to balance out this. But I feel like we'll leave it a little more empty on these sides, so we won't put it there. And then maybe I feel like their little feathers got kind of crazy right there, so I'm going to pull some black here. And then again, maybe I'm going to go back to that small brush again and put a little white dot in the eye, just a tiny little poke. So make sure you get nice and careful, barely touch, go inside and make a little dot. And then again, I can just add a little more layers to the feathers, white parts. Maybe I do some like more of a pink red and add that to the head, just to have some highlights. So you still want some parts to look really red, but some parts could look a little bit lighter. No big deal. It's like totally fine. And then maybe I take some of that pink color and go down here, and I can have some dots with that color. And even some of the swirls can have some of that pink-ish color mixed in. I don't know. This is where you get to go crazy. Maybe I have some little dabs in here that are like pink in the tail to break up all that green. But maybe it's just more abstract, not so much like a painted rose like the other ones. So, see how I can pull it into the space, let it be kind of loose. So fun. But at a certain point, you gotta stop. I don't know. I don't want to overdo it, because it can happen where you just like get carried away and you're like, "Ooh, that turned weird." I'm gonna use some of this light pink over here too. So see how you can spread these colors around wherever you really want to see it. It's not like you can't put it in any given area. And then again, like little dots can be helpful and fun to break up space. Or not. Or you can kind of just keep it really clean and more on a black canvas. So maybe this whole thing feels like too much to you. Then take it out, you know? Like, it's not a big deal if you decide to change it up. I might paint over just this, like a little bit of this. I usually will put stuff on there, and then sometimes what you end up seeing in my finished painting is not, it was like I made a choice to take it out, and that is okay. This is why I show this process in my YouTube videos, because I don't have a plan when I go in with these. Or I have like a very loose plan, I guess. And I like to show how you can change it instead of making it feel like it has to be so planned out. So like a lot of my other tutorials are, it's like I've already made this, I've already done this process to a certain extent. So what you're getting is just a really direct, like, okay, this is what it is, and this is what I decided. Whereas in this, I like to kind of go in with a loose plan and then play and have you play with me in that process, because sometimes I feel that that's helpful so that you can see what you can do instead of feeling like it just has to be this completed idea right from the get-go, which isn't usually the way that it like works out. So I just personally think that's helpful to see and to kind of play with that idea. But see how I can pull out some more of this. So you just want to embellish the things you like at this point. Like maybe I'm gonna add some of the, like I don't want this white, I'm gonna have this teal pulling from this side over here a little bit. Let's see. In here. So you just gotta play. I can't emphasize that enough. Because a lot of times we think it has to be a certain way, or we're afraid to try something just because that's not what we think it's supposed to be. And then you really miss out on like exploring and kind of stumbling across those happy accidents that Bob Ross talked about. It's just, you have to be open to it in the creativity, like the creative process itself. You have to let it kind of be able to happen. You have to create the space for it to happen. So I like to go in there, do a couple more layers, see if I can put some more layers on these little leaves. The more layers you have, the more it's just gonna pop. But you don't want to overdo it. So if anything looks flat, like it has like way less than 3 shades in a given area, try to bring some balance to it by adding more.